I have introduced a lot of celebrities, actors, authors throughout my time, but I have to say, this might be the first time that I get to introduce a legitimate astronaut, right? How about that? So, of course you know this guy from so many things, but you know him and you love him as William Shatner himself, so I'm not even gonna waste time. Let's make some noise for Mr. William
Listen to the applause. That's the music. Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming. I'm delighted to be back in Denver, one of my favorite cities. I have so many memories of Denver, of skiing on the hills up there, beyond the Eisenhower Tunnel. Yeah, when you can get through the Eisenhower Tunnel. And then my daughter went to the University of Colorado. And then I've got friends in what's the town? Boulder. No. Well, there's a town that serves the city, the university. Boulder. I said Boulder. You'll have to forgive me. The memory is there, but the retrieval is a little slow. So, I've skied a lot. I gave up skiing a while ago. I was a racer. I raced for my high school skiing in Montreal, a lot of skiing there. And I got really good. I did do the AAA, the AA, and things here, and it was really good. And then time went on, and it got one year I was skiing in some of the wet snow, and I did a face plant. Okay, and then I went to get up. I couldn't get up. I was locked in the snow. Anybody's ever had that? I can't get up. And I skied with a guy who dug me out, got up, and it really frightened me. What if I'm skiing powder and I can't get up? So I slowly gave up skiing and went into space. But skiing is a perfect example of what seems to be a miss in my personality. I'm always taking chances, and I don't know why. I take chances because I spent a lifetime doing movies, and it's always the stuntman that gets hurt. Well, it's true. I mean, if it's a dangerous stunt, and you say to the director, I'll do it, I'll do it. No, let the stuntman do it because you could get hurt. So the stuntman does it. And for example, Moses Lake on the West Coast is it's in Washington State, and it's all sandy. It's got sandy dunes, and it's because it's closer to Los Angeles, it's a familiar place to film. So I was filming something there on a motorcycle and taking jumps off the dunes, and there was one particularly difficult jump, and I said, well, I can do it. And the director said, no, we'll let the stuntman do it. And the stuntman did it, and he did it incorrectly. He fell on his back, and we didn't know it at the time, but he broke his back. And he's lying there, and I rushed to his side, and I'm saying, God, man, I wish it were me. I didn't really mean it. And he's lying there, oh, dude. And then his girlfriend comes running down sand dune and stands on that side, and I'm there, and she's standing up there, and she's saying, "Oh, Shatner, oh my God, Mr. Shatner, oh, Shatner." And she's dribbling salt as sand on her boyfriend's face. "Oh, Mr. Shatner," and the guy can't wipe his hand up because he was crippled. I never forgot that. The stuntman got hurt. They're doing a train sequence back east somewhere, Connecticut, I think, or something like that. And it was a chase sequence in which I played the bad guy, and I jumped on the top of a train, doing one of those sequences where the heroes or the villain is running along the top of the train's going, and the villain is running along. Let me tell you, that's frightening. That, my dear, is frightening. So I said to the director, how are you going to shoot this? He said, maybe we'll do some green screen back at the studio. No, it's not going to work. I said, well, what happens if I get up there and, well, let's see the stuntman do it first. So they run the train at 20 miles an hour, and the stuntman's up there, and he's leaning forward, and he's an airfoil. I mean, the wind is going like this, so he's like half flying his feet. He's in weightlessness. My first vision of weightlessness was a stuntman being pushed up by the air on a moving train. So I said to the director, well, I can do that. I said, if you don't go 20 miles an hour, you go 10 miles an hour, I'll do that. Now, it was a diesel, which means that there was no place to cable me off. There was no place to, if I fell, that I wouldn't fall over the side, because it's all smooth. So the train goes 10 miles an hour, and it goes around a bend and under a bridge and all that kind of thing. And I'm going there, and I'm 10 miles an hour, and there's a helicopter over here, and another helicopter filming the helicopter. And we go, and when we come back, I said, "How did it look?" And he said, "Well, it looked like you were going 10 miles an hour." Well, we went to 20, we went to 30, and finally, I was going 40 miles an hour. We're out of bad thing, the helicopter, and I look back at that, and I think, how idiotic, how stupid, what a foolish, ignorant, because the stuntman's always the one that's going to get hurt. So I got a phone call about a few months ago, and it's Josh Gates. He has this series, Strange Adventure, and he said, "How would you like to be a part of Shark Week?" Okay, and you look down and you see the sharks. Now, I had a license, whatever they call it, deep sea, open sea diving. How did you know that? Have you been looking at my books? So I had this license for a long time, and like any amateur, go out 2-3 times a year and forget everything until you learn it. It's too late. Until the next time you forget it the next time. So I said, "Well, I got a license. I got the permit." He says, "Well, let's do it, and we'll go to the Bahamas, and there are great Bahamian divers there, and we'll do some shark weekend." I said, "Oh, right, that's great, okay," because stuntmen are the ones that get hurt. So I find myself diving in 60 feet of water. I'm standing on the boat, ready to go in, and the water's tumultuous. Watch that. Look, those are sharks. We're chumming for the sharks. And the water's alive with bodies swimming. And the guy says to me, "Now listen, the only dangerous time really is getting in and getting out." And he's wearing chainmail. I am not wearing chainmail, okay? So I go, okay, and I jump in and I get through it and I dive about 60 feet down, and there's a rock there, and I'm sitting on the rock, and I'm looking from here to the lady in yellow. See the lady in yellow? That's 18'4" tiger sharks, 18-foot sharks, right about there. And Their mouths are the size of this speaker. I'm not exaggerating. If I were exaggerating, I would say 3 times the size of that speaker. I'm not exaggerating. 2 times the size of that speaker. No, it's the size of that speaker, and from here to there, and they're 18 feet long, which is about the size of this stage. Okay? And I'm looking with horror. Oh my God. There's tiger sharks. They're the apex predator of that part of the ocean. Only the bull shark and the great white and even the bull shark it's the great white that is superior in voraciousness to the tiger shark. Now, let me just preface this by saying apex predators are essential to our planet. It's essential that lions and tigers and that they provide the. Let me diverge for a moment. Yellowstone. It's all going to meet in the middle, I promise. Yellowstone decides to eliminate wolves in Yellowstone. And the deer and the elk all come back down to the streams, and since they're no longer afraid to go back up to the high ground, they frolic in the water and they destroy the brush and the trees and the insects leave and because there's no place for the insects, and the birds leave because there's no, and then the fish leave, and it becomes barren ground. One day, some bright guy in the government says, well, let's reintroduce wolves. They reintroduce wolves. The hoofed animals become afraid like they should. They go back up to the high ground. They leave the water alone. The brush comes back, the insects come back, the birds come back, fish come back, and nature has resumed its natural order in a few years, very short time. Apex predator. Don't clap for the wolves. Clap for the tiger sharks. Because they perform the same thing. They're apex predators. They rid the ocean of a lot of the junk. So, I'm watching them feed this thing, and every so often, there's a Bahamian expert behind me who darts out and pushes a tiger shark away from one of the cameramen before he bites him. Oh my God. Now, over here, where this lady is, making strange gestures. About there is the shark whisperer. She was a tourist that decided to stay. Okay? And she stayed because she fell in love with the sharks. She got to know all about sharks. She made me promise that I would say that sharks are that killing the sharks for their fins is a crime, is criminal against nature. So she's there, and you can barely see her because she's surrounded by sharks, all wanting to be petted. Shark whisperer. And I'm watching these tiger sharks being pushed away so they won't eat the camera. And then she comes over with a 5-foot shark and puts it in my lap. She's wearing chainmail. I'm not wearing chainmail. But because I don't have the gloves, I'm able to stroke the shark and feel its skin. And golly, this shark, this is like a puppy dog. And then inadvertently, a finger goes into one of the gills, and it carves off. I thought that shark was in what they call atomic faint. Apparently, if you turn a shark upside down, if you can turn a shark upside down and pet it on its belly, it kind of falls asleep. It goes into a faint. That's what the orcas do to the great whites. They turn them upside down, they stroke them on their bellies, and the great white, and then the orcas eat their liver. So this lady puts a 5-foot shark I thought was in atomic shock, and it wasn't. It was just filled with love. It was like, ooh, boo. came out, I was coming up the ladder to get out of the water, I remember that the guy said the most dangerous time is when you're going in and when you're coming out. And I'm coming out and I'm looking behind me, and I'm sure I heard a shark say, "Look at that asshole." Not the shark, not the stupid joke. So all this is my way of saying, I'm a sucker for danger, but only at a certain level. Only where the stuntman gets hurt, and I don't. So that brings us to what I'm sure is a question somebody's going to ask, and let me answer it right away about going off into space. So, ever since I read Rachel Carson's book, The Silent Spring, 50 years ago, where she predicted all that's happening to the planet today, she said this was going to happen. When I read her book, I thought the same thing, and every time I did an interview, or I'd come in front of a group of people and say, you know, it's bad out there, man. And, you know, like a bad debt, you think, I'll pay it tomorrow, or I'll pay it next month, or you just kick it down the road like we do everything. If it's bad, you know, okay, no, I'll deal with it tomorrow, or I'll deal with it next, right, maybe I won't have to deal with it. But you can't escape what's happening to the planet. So, a friend of mine, Jason Ehrlich is his name, said a couple of years ago, you know, Blue Origin is going to send a rocket up into space. They should take you on the first voyage. And I said, oh, Jason, nobody cares about that. I'm not giving a Captain Kirk. So he called Amazon, and the people at Amazon said, well, come on up to Seattle. So 2 years ago, Jason Ehrlich and I went up to Seattle, and we said, you know, with you by Shatner on, Captain Kirk was up, and I'm thinking, why do I want to do that? I mean, that's uncomfortable. I don't know. They shoot up and come back down. And so they say, well, this is interesting, says Amazon, we'll call it. And then COVID hits, and everything stops for a year. So 6 months ago, 5 months ago, somewhere around there, shortly after the shark episode, they call, and they say, we're going up. Jeff Bezos has decided to go up first as well, and let's see what happens. So we wait, you know, and then Jeff Bezos chooses his brother to go up. And I say to Jason, see, I told you, Bezos is going up with his brother, first up. So Jason said, well, maybe the second trip. I said, the second? Nobody wants the second trip. You know, you want the president, you don't want the vice president. So Jeff Bezos goes up, comes down, and, you know, it made the news, it was all right. And then they called and said, would you like to go up on the second voyage? And I'm thinking, why do I'm so comfortable in Los Angeles, why do I? And then there's all that stuff, you know, there's the risk and the thing, and gotta go for all those days in the Texas desert. And then I thought a little bit more about it, thought, you know, it's dangerous, but the whole premise of Blue Origin is we all can go if you had $3 or $4 million. So there'd be a lot of things. No, so I mean, they're trying to make it safe for civilian traffic because Mr. Bezos' ambition is to put polluting industries straight up, 250, 80, 100 miles up there in geocentric orbit, and you put up the polluting industries like electrical companies and stuff like that, and you could take a giant step towards getting the debris out of the air of the Earth. So it's a noble a noble, excuse the word, enterprise. So I thought, I'll go up. It's a thrill. It's got to be safe. The stuntman is the only one who gets hurt. I'll go up. So I say, okay, I'll go up in a second. And then they call, and now you got to go to Texas, and you got to be, this wasn't Cape Canaveral. This is out in the Texas desert. It's Bezos' own money, so it's very simple. They have those Airstream trailers. The modern. Did I mean Airstream? Yeah, Airstream trailers. They have half a dozen Airstream trailers for you to one of which is yours to live in. I lived in one, and the first day I was there, the toilet backed up.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm an astronaut, and the toilet backs up. Excuse me, I'm Captain Kirk, and the toilet just backed up. There's a lot of shit going on around here. It was really awful. So it was kind of primitive out there, and in fact, I knew that. So I didn't invite any family or my wife. All of them said, Bill, you can't go. I'm shooting a documentary, of course, of this whole thing. So we filmed my family. So 2 of my 3 daughters come to the house, and my wife Elizabeth, and Jason with his camera. And we're shooting my daughters and my wife saying, you can't go. You don't understand. You could die. We don't want you to die. And they are pummeling not to go. It's a great film. And I'm saying, I gotta go. I gotta go. Space is calling. But I thought it best not to have them there with the toilet backing up and the Airstream. So then we practiced. I was going to say rehearsed. We practiced a lot in this one maneuver, which was impossible to practice, which is you're going to be in weightlessness for a few minutes, 3. And then the pod, the spaceship, is on the top of a rocket. The rocket sends it up and jettisons it, and it goes soaring up 65 miles into space. The Kármán line, thanks. I need all that up I can get. The Kármán line is the space line, 62 miles. We went to 65 just to be sure. Imagine going to 61 miles. No, you didn't. You went 61 miles. So this thing jettisons, and we go up into an arc. So you're in G's going up, and then you're in weightlessness, and then as you start to come back, you're going to hit G's again. And boy, G's, and there's no way of practicing that. But the thing you could practice was the technique of getting back into your 5-point harness. You're in a seat that is like, extends your whole body, and now you've got a strap, a 5-point harness all over you. Now, I drive fast cars, and I'm used to getting into a 5-point harness. So this thing here and this thing here is fine, no problem, right? This thing here is on a wire. You put this in. The thing that is really important, that is impossible to get at, is the crotch. Okay? What do? Do you have the shoulders first, which they told you to do in case you can't get the crotch? The crotch became the fundamental problem with me. Getting that crotch strap into a hole in the 5-point harness was the worst thing. I wasn't afraid of the fulminating hydrogen and oxygen. I couldn't get the crotch strap into the goddamn harness. In fact, the 4th member of the group, 2 guys who were worth a lot of money, bought seats, but Audrey Powers is the space lawyer who was an engineer who did, this remarkable lady was given the gift. She's head of something very big at Blue Origin. Aubrey Powers has been at the company for years, and she was used to putting up the crotch strap. And they told Aubrey Powers to look after Captain Kirk and make sure the crotch strap was in the harness before she got into hers. It was so demeaning. In fact, I'll jump ahead for a moment. I never did get the crotch. You know, it's one thing to say, oh, okay, Audrey, you get there and do that, and you get back, and then suddenly you're descending and you count down to like 5 seconds to the G. I get back in here, Audrey, I'm okay. And I was, without the crotch, right? So, you have to walk up 11 flights of the gantry. 11 flights of stairs. Now, there was a lady who was responsible for our training as astronauts. And so, the two gentlemen who were there, DeVries and the other gentleman, were very not important, but they were vital human beings. I mean, they were knowledgeable and sensible, and they fashioned businesses out of nothing. They were rich because they'd done it themselves, and lovely people. But one of them took to heart Sarah's instructions. You're astronauts. Walk with a purpose. Walk like an astronaut. You know, so the one guy said, I'm an astronaut. He had his hand on his head. And I said to Sarah, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm an actor. What happens if you have a studious astronaut who walks like this, wondering, you know, I'm an astronaut, but I'm walking like this because I'm wondering about the nature of the stage. You know what I mean? Why does an astronaut walk like this? Only John Glenn did this. So after that, she kind of was shamefaced and never urged us on to walk like astronauts. Because we weren't. I coined the phrase when I was asked, how does it feel to be an astronaut? I said, I'm only a half astronaut. So you have to walk up 11 flights of stairs in the gantry, and you're at 4,000 feet. Now, we were at 5,000? Is this 5,000 there? 5,000?
Yep.
You know, I got up this morning going, ooh, what was that? Of course, I thought, oh yeah, that's right, I'm at 5,000 feet. This is 4,000 feet. It's only a little tiny less than this. And I'm walking up 11 flights of stairs in front of all these cameras. I'm Captain Kirk. And I'm like, so I stop at every the story. Oh, look at the scenery. Oh. And I finally made it to the 11 flights. And I thought, where's the camera? There's a room, a cement room at the top of the gantry, which they showed us earlier in the week. I had to walk up there as well. That's when I realized I wasn't going to make it if I walked like an astronaut up the level. There's a cement room in case something goes wrong. That's the last thing you want to show something. Okay, here's where we slam the door shut, and it's sealed shut. There's oxygen in there. There's a radio in there in case everything blows up. This is where the room is. Excuse me? Where's the stuntman? Finally, we rehearsed it enough, trained enough, without the rocket there, and then the day of the rocket. And then we met early in the morning. pee, urinating, pissing. How does an astronaut hold his urine? Or, which is even worse, right, as I understand it? Right. How do you hold your urine for that length of time? Not just, in this case, not just the flight and sitting on this chair and all that kind of thing, but there was all this pre-publicity. You're standing there, yeah, so I'm an astronaut, and you got to talk. And if you had a breakfast of some kind of tea, and hydration is critically important, by the way. Hydration is huge. I mean, we talk about hydration. I had what do you call it? Vertigo. Thank you. Well, did you say vertigo? She said vertigo. What's the signal for vertigo? That's it. That's exactly how I felt. I had vertigo once, and it turned out to be lack of hydration. And I got up out of a chair, and I was all crazed with dizziness. You want to avoid that when you're flying in space. So you got to drink fluids. And you got to balance the number of fluids to keep you hydrated and to avoid peeing. Do you remember that story of that female astronaut who drove across the country, so crazed with passion that she wore diapers? And when she stopped at a gasoline station, all she did was, piss into the car and then leave, and not because she was so crazy in love with somebody. Those were the diapers they wanted us to wear. Captain Kirk. I'm not sure that's the picture I want out there. They also make a gel. You sprinkle powder in your pouch, and it turns to jelly. And astronauts, these are I'm giving you little tidbits of space here now. Don't tell anybody. I decided I'm not going to do that. So apparently a couple of people did. I don't know who exactly. But I did not. I wore comfortable jockey shorts. Could have worn Depends, but I didn't. And so it went, and up the gantry into the spaceship. I'm now prone on the chair, I'm buckled in, and they're putting hydrogen and oxygen into the rocket. And if you remember those Hindenburg documentaries, all the humanity of it all. Remember that guy? And people running down and the thing burning and all that. That's the picture I had in mind when I was thinking I'm sitting on top of hydrogen. Suffice to say, it went. It exploded the way it's supposed to. It thrust the vehicle up, went through the G's, but my face went down, up there, into weightlessness, where you are just, and they were doing something else in their weightlessness, the other three. I was looking out the window. I was looking out the window because I wanted to see it. And I'm looking there, and I'm looking at there's a 50-mile skin of air around the earth. And I'm looking down there, and I'm seeing the path of the spaceship, like through the air. I don't see the spaceship, but I see the wake, if you will. Through blue, it's blue, it's blue. No, it's not blue. And I look over here, and it's black. Not the black of space. It's galaxies, and it's twirling dust storms on moon. No, black. Death. I'm looking at death. And I'm looking at life. I'm looking at the beauty of the pale blue, fawn, white. giver of life, our planet, and the opposite, which is nothing. And in that moment, I felt such sadness over what we're doing. 50 miles of air that gets thinner and thinner as you go up. That's all. We're breathing it. We're going to die. If we continue what we're doing, Earth's not going to die. Earth can get rid of us as quickly as our bodies heat up and get rid of the virus. Have cold, get temperature, virus dies, body's fine. The Earth, the Gaia, is doing the same thing. I was filled with such sadness that when I came back down, and I guess there was a sense of relief as well, but the sadness is still with me talking to you today. I feel such empathy for what we've done and what we're doing and what we're trying not to do. It's so important. I come back with that message. Thank you very much.